Hilchos Sukkah and Lulav. Chavili Kash, bundles of straw. Chavili Eitzah, bundles of wood. Chavili Zarden. So go down to the Peirush. The Magen Mishnah cites the Mishnah in Sukkah 12. And Rashi explains that Zarden are reeds that when they're dry, when they're fresh, animals eat them. When they're dry, use it as fuel. And you can't use them as chak. We're afraid he'll make bundles and place them on his roof to dry, and then he'll decide, oh, I need a sukkah. And he'll think I can use it as a sukkah. He didn't do it as a shade. It looks like a sukkah. It is a sukkah that was made by itself. Like we have in our Halacha tells that he has to do it himself. However, he unties the bundle. It becomes kosher. There is no bundle that has less than 25 stalks to it. The Magen Mishnah cites the source in Sukkah 12. The Gemara explains: a person comes at times from the field and he's carrying either straw or wood or reeds, and he puts it on the sukkah, and the Torah says you have to make it specifically the sukkah, not to use because you happen to use it, you now have a sukkah. It is nothing less than 25 stalks. The Rebbe disagrees with this. Avram said, the Rebbe says, he learned this from Yerushalmi in Perek Aleph Halacha Vav. That's where he found it, and he asked, I don't know why he wrote it. Even if you tie three things together, it's called a bundle, as we find in the Bavli. Three together, it's a bundle. Why? The Magen Mishnah says that Rambam explains the Bavli in Sukkah 13 that three are called a bundle regarding Azov, which is the grass, which you have to have three of them to spray water from water that's mixed with ashes. He explains a bundle is only 25 badim, and here he writes bundles, and therefore he doesn't talk about three. And the Rif, he points out that the Magen Mishnah points out that the Riv cites the law of bundles of straw. He doesn't say how much is a bundle. Amenim says all the Rishonim Achronim bring the Yerushalmi like the Rambam, and they explain that Eged is three only when you have to use it, the Azov, for spraying. Now we're learning Perek Ches Halacha Yud Aleph, Chavilus Ketanos, small bundles, if you put the bundles together not for the purpose of tying them, but knowing how many there are, just to cut them, you can use it as chach. So the Magen Mishnah cites Sukkah 13b rather, that Rambam says these things that grow in surah, you can use them as chach, even though they're tied together. They're only tied together to know how many to count. So when you sell them, you should know how many you're selling at a time. Once they are sold, the person who has it immediately cuts the binding of them. So too, if you have a branch which has a lot of small branches attached, the branches are still attached, you can use it for schach, because if it's just tied together by heaven, it's not called a bundle. Even if he ties one side of this branch, it's not called tied. They're now in one bunch. Well, we have two things. One of the sides is the way it was grew from heaven. One was tied together by man. You can use it for schach. Because if you tie one thing can't be tied. One is one, even if you bind it many times. And a branch has sub-branches is like one branch. Because it was bound from heaven. He adds, furthermore, if you didn't tie it to carry it, it's not called a bunch. Now the Magen Mishnah cites in Sukkah that the Gemara says that Ogad by one is not called Eged. The Mishnah infers that 2 are called Eged. In questions we know that only the 25 or 3 according to the Raivad. And the answers we can learn according to the Chachamim that 2 are called Eged. And the Rambam explains that when you have 25 together and they're naturally so on the tree, there the Gemara says it's not called Eged. But if he adds one more to them, the Rosh says, you can explain the Gemara, if there were 25, and then he adds one more from a separate tree, then it causes all 26 to be considered a bundle. Shulchan Aruch says the Halacha, that if he tied together one more, even he only did it for one branch and a second one, it's possible for schach. Okay, so Mishnah questions the Rambam. It says small bundles, that you tie them for numbers. Why does he have to say small? If they're less than 25, even if they're not tied, even if they're tied specifically to be a bundle, they're not a bundle. So Rae Gann answers that today we tie together more than 25. Still, 25 is you can't use. Shulchan Aruch says the Halacha, you can't do it. You can't make schach with a bundle. At times, a person puts his bundle on the roof to dry them, and then he decides to use them for sukkah. That sukkah is possible because it's made and not from the way it should be. And they said on every chavila, they forbade it because of that, lest he leave it on his roof and then use it. And he says the din is not less than 25 because you don't leave less than 25 to dry. And so we find specifically in the Rosh. The Shulchan Aruch continues. Therefore, every bundle, if it's less than 25, you can use for schach. If it's 25 or more, they come from one root, and at their base they're connected. Even though we tie them at the heads, that's not called a bundle because they're one anyway. And if you added one more, then it's a bundle. If you added from another tree, no more adds any bundle that's not tied from both ends, so that it enables you to carry it, is not called a bundle. You can use it. The Mishnah Berurah is of the opinion that if you did it in the middle, you can carry it from the middle. It is called a bundle. You shouldn't use it. The Rambam writes that if it's tied not to carry, the Rambam writes that if you can carry it, the Beis Yosef writes that any bundle that's not bound from 2 sides, you'll be able to carry it that way. It's not called a bundle. You can use it for schach. And when the question is why didn't the Torah mention this, and the Pesach HaDogo, which is an explanation of Sefer Ito, points out that the Shulchan Aruch also left it out. The language of the Rambam that Eged she'ena osur l'taltaloi, a binding that's not made to carry, is also the Lashon of Balo Ito. And Rashi explains that what he did at the bottom was only, he did not tie it, he just interwove the branches. The Ran writes that since he opened up the upper binding of that bundle, you can't carry it anymore from what's left at the thin edge. If at the thick part you separated it, then you're not going to be able to carry it by the thin part. But if it would be the reverse, that you can carry it from the thick part, you can't use it for schach. But the ritual, it seems, if it wasn't done to carry, it doesn't matter, and you can use it. But from the Ramah and the Ran, it would seem that since you can carry it through that ta'anat, even though it wasn't made for that, you can't use it for schach, even if you didn't do it for the purpose of carrying.